Meeting of the City of Manistee Brownfield Redevelopment Authority of February 8th, 2022. The call to order and the roll call, I'm assuming being taken.
Yep, we're all set.
Okay, approval of agenda, I guess would need a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chair, if we could move up the oath of office conflict of interest, then I could have Heather do that and then she could be on her way, if you don't mind.
You want to stay with us?
Yeah. All right, so what do you want to do first?
We can do it right after public, or right after correspondence before approval of minutes. How's that sound?
Okay, so we move to correspondence.
No, we'll move the oath of office to right after
Oath of
correspondence.
office.
Yep.
Oh, it's out of back, okay.
Yep.
Section C of 10, new business, will start out with the oath of office. Annually, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority members will take an oath of office and agree to abide by Section 6, conflict of interest of the bylaws of the City of Manistee Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. At this time, the members of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority will take their oath of office and agree to abide by Section 6, conflict of interest of the bylaws of the City of Manistee Brownfield Redevelopment Authority.
Megan's here too.
Megan's here.
Megan's here, Megan's here, Megan's here,
I sent you a text, but I don't know if you
Megan's here,
said, I'm coming in.
Megan's here. Pass this down to Megan, please. Oh, God, Megan.
So I have, all of you have your oath in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So just repeat after me.
Mm-hmm.
I do hereby solemnly swear
I do hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
That I will support
I
the
will support the Constitution of the United
of the United
States,
States,
the Constitution of this state,
Constitution of this state,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully
faithfully
discharge
discharge the duties
as a member and/or officer of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority
as a
a
member
member or officer of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority
of the City of Manistee to the best of my ability.
of the City of
City of
Manistee
Manistee to the best
to the
of my
best of my
ability.
ability.
I further hereby certify that I have not violated
I further
Hereby certify that I have not violated
any of the provisions governing municipal elections
any of the provisions
provisions governing municipal
municipal elections
as provided in Chapter 13, Sections 13-14 of the Charter of the City of Manistee, Michigan.
as
as
provided
provided
in
in
Chapter 13,
Sections 13 and 14 of the Charter of the City of Manistee,
Michigan.
I further hereby certify that I have read and understood Section 2.6 of the City of Manistee Brownfield Redevelopment Authority bylaws that requires disclosing direct conflicts of interest.
I further
I
hereby
certify that I have read and
understood
understood
Section 2.6 of the City of Manistee Brownfield Redevelopment
Redevelopment Authority
bylaws
bylaw
that requires disclosing
clear
direct
disclosing
conflicts
conflicts of interest.
All right, you would sign.
Okay. And, yeah, date today's is 8th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2022, holy Christ. Jeez. Thank you. Okay, so where did you want to go next then, Ed?
Then you can just keep going right down the agenda.
Oh, no, we'll keep going, okay. Oh, she's all finished, already. Okay, so then we'll approval of the agenda. We take a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second it.
Seconded. Any discussion over the agenda? If not, would you signify by saying aye in favor? Aye. All opposed? Say no. All right. Move down to public hearing. None, right?
No public.
Correspondence or public comments at this time. Chair will ask if there's any public comments. None. Correspondence. This time the chair will ask if there's any correspondence has been received to be included in the record.
No correspondence.
No correspondence. Approval of minutes. At this time, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority can act to approve the January 10th, 2021 meeting minutes.
I'll approve, suggest we,
Okay.
January 10th minutes approved.
It's actually supposed to say January 10th, 2022, excuse
Yeah,
me
that's
for
what I
that.
thought.
That's what it says on the minutes themselves, so.
But anyhow, to amend that to 2022. Okay, and seconded by, I'm sure,
I'll second.
Who made
Okay.
the motion, sorry?
all in
Marlene?
favor.
Marlene, okay.
Yeah, Marlene made the motion, seconded by Shelley, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. All right, that passed. We move then to financial reports. This
Sure.
time- What's that?
Nope, go ahead. Sorry.
At this time, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority can act to approve the financial reports, which are the balance sheet and the revenue and expense. Mr. Bradford will explain that.
So I put the financial reports in the packet. There's a lot of cash on the balance sheet, but most of that is tax capture payable that I pay out after I settle with the county, normally in August. So, the rest of that is just fund balance. There's really no liabilities. With that said, we do have some invoices that are starting to trickle in, from Fishbeck on some things. I need to get with Roman and get those sorted out because we've got a few different projects going on with the grant and loan in the city and their work for the different brownfield things. On the revenue side, there was really no activity for the month except for a little bit of printing and publishing for the public hearing, that we had for the brownfield plan. So, really no big changes there. We will see some revenue coming in. I need to bill the people from the Hampton Inn for the brownfield plan still, but I've got to get with Roman on that and make sure we've got the right amount. So, really no change from last month. Are there any questions?
Do we have any questions from the board? No, I don't believe so. Do you need a motion to approve the reports?
Yes, please.
Need a
I'll make
mo-
the motion.
Second.
And seconded?
Shelley.
Second.
Okay. Did you get that?
Yep, Megan and Marlene.
Yeah, alrighty. And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Yeah, okay. And then we'll move along to, what else? Old business? Have any old business? No. All right, new business. And first thing is the election of officers. And according to the bylaws of the City of Manistee Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, their annual election of officers is held at their annual meeting in January. This was not done at the January meeting, so it is on the agenda now. At this time, the meeting will be turned over to Mr. Ed Bradford, who will ask for nominations. Mr. Bradford, you're in charge.
Thank you. So at this time, we'd accept nominations for chair for the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. Have any nominations for chair?
I'd like to nominate Roger.
Second. Third.
Okay, so we got Roger was nominated by Megan.
Roger, like you better.
All right, are there any
I am
other
not a good
nominations?
runner.
No other nominations? Can we have a vote on that, please?
Yeah.
The roll call.
All in favor of Roger being the chair for 2022, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Roger, you're chair.
Okay. I appreciate your faith.
All right, so now I can turn that over to you, and you can ask for nominations for the vice chair and
Yeah.
the secretary treasurer.
Yeah, alrighty, and that's where we're at the vice chair. So the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority will select a vice chair for 2022. At this point, we'll take nominations for the vice chair. I can't say.
I'll nominate Marlene.
I'll second Marlene.
I think you girls got it in cahoots.
You think?
That's what I think. So Marlene's been nominated for the vice chair. Is there any other nominations?
Not nominate myself.
We're on tape, so I had to go through with it.
Fast they whip them out.
That's what I mean. I think, okay, so anyhow, we'll have all in favor of Marlene as the vice chair signify by saying aye. Aye? All opposed? And Marlene is the vice chair then. Then we'll move to the secretary treasurer of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. We'll select a secretary treasurer for 2022.
Not here.
Is there anybody not here today?
Anybody not here?
Yeah, Rick.
Oh, Rick?
Ron, Kip,
Kip.
Kip.
Tom Rankin.
It's like Kip's gonna be secretary
I
treasurer.
don't know who's the secretary and treasurer right now, and I said have to
Well,
look
isn't
up
the
the
secretary
records.
treasurer job the job that actually is?
Well, I mean, I pretty much do it, but
Yeah.
it's, yeah. so.
Yeah.
So can we nominate you?
Shell,
No,
why don't
we
you
need a
just,
board- we need a board member.
Shell, just take it. You don't,
Yeah.
I mean, just to have an officer name by it or,
Yeah,
Have you ever been on the board? I mean, I've had every position.
I
yeah.
have not.
Okay, if you haven't been on, and you and
No.
Kip haven't been on it.
Yeah.
No.
Guys, more-
but to nominate, so we'll put her down,
Oh, we will, okay.
okay?
The vice chair said we'll put her down.
And I say second that.
And there you go, it has been seconded. So again, I ask for any other nominations for secretary treasurer of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. Okay, none. All in favor of Shelley being the secretary treasurer signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? And welcome aboard, young lady.
Feet wet.
Yeah. And now do you work it here like they do on the planning commission where she's in name, but you actually do the correspondence, correct?
Yeah, I take care of everything for that,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome.
Yeah, okay. So then we moved on to the bylaw review. And according to the bylaws of the City of Manistee, Brownfield Redevelopment Authority shall annually review their bylaws at their annual meeting in January. This was not done at the January meeting, so it is on the agenda now. At this time, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority can take action to make changes to their bylaws if necessary. So, yeah, we all got that in the packet. If anybody,
Yeah.
Did.
I'm sure we all read the bylaws, understand what they are, and what our positions are as officers.
We did.
So anybody want to make changes or leave it as is, or?
I didn't see anything I thought jumped out to be changed.
Is, what are the rules? I know we've discussed this before on Zoom meetings.
No Zoom meetings.
And is that like a state decision? Yeah, okay.
That's unfortunate.
Although the Attorney General just did come out with an opinion on the intersection of the Open Meetings Act and American with Disabilities Act, and there's some confusion
Saw
on
that.
that. But we probably will have to accommodate it if somebody makes a request. Then we'll need to probably accommodate that, but the city attorney's looking at that right now, so that's just fresh off the presses. But there's no accommodation for just virtual meeting for no reasons right now, or any
So
reason.
that was all just during
COVID.
active COVID, even though our most active phase is now.
The legislature, everything I hear from the Michigan Municipal League says the legislature has zero appetite for doing that. And it's not just, it's a bipartisan thing, they just don't wanna do it, so,
Yeah,
interesting.
it is, because I know I had contacted you and said I'm totally available by Zoom, but
Yeah, and I think you'd get more participation from
yeah.
Yeah,
everyone.
They don't wanna do it, so, and I know there's been quite a bit of lobbying, but that's where it stands right now.
Did you have any suggestions for anything that might need to be changed? Okay.
So I guess I'm hearing consensus that no changes needed.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
We don't need to vote
Are
on
we
it
on
first,
this? You
no.
girls were going pretty good there. You want to change anything, or?
I didn't have any changes.
Yeah, okay, so if we don't want any changes, we need a motion to keep as is, or just continue on? All right, then the oath of office, section 6, we've already completed. And the work plan for the Hotel Ventures Manistee LLC redevelopment Hampton Inn.
All right, this is the reason that we're having the meeting, amongst other things. So Kirk, can you still hear me?
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button.
Okay, that's all right. So we have Kirk Hirschberger from, Kirk Perschbacher from Fishbeck here. Roman couldn't make it today. In case there's any questions, he's just doing audio participation. But after we approved the Brownfield plan for the Hampton Inn and we approved the development and reimbursement agreement, those both went to City Council. City Council both approved them. This is the last piece, which is basically the Act 381 work plan that has to be submitted, in this case, to the MEDC to get approval for the Brownfield Authority to capture the school taxes. And there really is, there's really very little to this document. If there was a big environmental concern down there and there was contamination and things, then you'd also have to submit this to Eagle, and it would be a lot more complicated, but there really isn't that. Most of the that stuff is just automatically eligible. So Fishbeck put this together, and I just want to run through it quick. I have Kirk here if there's any questions that I can't answer that he'd be able to, but basically it's kind of a repeat of a lot of the things that you saw in the Brownfield plan. You know, it talks about what the proposed development is, why the property is eligible, historical uses, and these are things that are spelled out in statute that you have to have in an Act 381 work plan. Summary of site conditions. It's got the assessor's certificate of functionally obsolete, and then information that's required by a certain section of the statute. And then it also lays out the scope of works, the eligible activities for both Eagle and MSF, local only activities and eligible activities and costs. So we'll look at those a little bit. And then there's some exhibits which basically just maps and the city infrastructure that you saw previously, including the water main and the resurfacing and some of the other parking improvements. And then for attachments, they obviously want the Brownfield plan and the development reimbursement agreement and the statement of obsolescence. But as we go through this, you know, it talks about the hotel. You've seen that before. Approximate amount of investment and number of jobs to be created, which they're projecting about 45. I think the important thing here is it talks about, let me get down to this section, you know, the benefit to the public, they require that, and that's obviously new property taxes, which are partially being abated, but there's still an increase of over almost 5 times at least to start, and then once all the abatements are gone, it'll be way more than that. But capital investment, job creation, upgrading the drinking water infrastructure, and having some stormwater control and parking. If we keep going down, what I wanted to get to was the, okay, so the scope of work. So we've got Eagle eligible activities. These are departmental specific ones that are kind of pre-approved. So there's the site investigation, including the environmental site assessment and pre-demolition surveys, asbestos inspection survey, lead and cadmium survey. That work's already been done, but is eligible to be reimbursed. There's no response activities because it's really not contaminated. It just has those things in the building that'll get demoed. And then for Michigan Strategic Fund eligible activities, those are ones that the MEDC has to approve. That would include the demolition, lead and asbestos abatement, site preparation, including some piers and land grading and things of that sort. And these are all eligible costs under the Brownfield statute, which is, most people when they think of Brownfield is just, oh, let's fix the contamination, but it's grown this big and it encompasses a lot of things now. Infrastructure improvements, which we talked about, there's significant public parking, water main, storm, and road improvements. So contingency, and then the preparation of the Brownfield and work plan. There are no local only eligible activities, so what that means is these school taxes will be available to pay for all of this, as well as the local taxes that are going to be captured. But again, most of this plan is school taxes because most of the local taxes are being abated through the tax abatement that they're going to be getting. Estimates of the costs, you know, kind of all broken out again. Same thing, you've seen this in the Brownfield plan. So a lot of this is a little bit redundant, but it just is a required step that the state requires. And, you know, you've got these different attachments, pictures of the building and what have you. And then the other attachments are the plan. So everybody had that in the packet. They were able to look at it. Kirk, did you want to mention anything to the board about the plan or anything unique about it, or kind of what the process will look like after we submit it?
Yeah, real quick, now, actually, Ed, you did a really good job of breaking everything out and explaining it. Really, it's kind of, it is very redundant, and writing both of them is even more redundant. But really, it's a step we have to take. So basically, what will happen is if this gets approved, then it can be sent on to MEDC, who looks at the MSF, and then once they approve it, activities can begin. And then obviously the only thing beyond that is the work will happen, and then the developer will submit to your board the invoices for reimbursement. And then as the TIF pays or plays out throughout the years, the developer is reimbursed when the TIF is available. So you know, like I said with the Eagle, the only thing in there is pre-approved, so this will not go to them. It's all on MSF's filters.
And we're trying to, the reason we needed to schedule this meeting is, again, we want to get that down to them so they can get it approved so they can start knocking the building down. They've got a very tight timeline. So,
Sure.
Are there any other questions on the Act 381 work plan, or anything that you need answered or want to look at before we vote on it?
Do they ever say when they're gonna break ground and start?
Well, they'd like to have done it yesterday. It's probably gonna be in March or early April, I'm thinking, depending on how quick the MSF can get this turned around. I mean, they could start early before they get approval, but the state doesn't necessarily like that, so I think they're gonna wait. And Dan Leonard from MEDC knows this is coming. We've been feeding them all that stuff, so it's just a matter of getting it on their agenda to get it done, so.
But there isn't any other expenses. I mean, this is broke down for this particular application.
Yeah, this is exactly the same as we approved. It's just another somewhat redundant step in the
That's
process.
what you
Yeah.
mentioned. It does seem that we've seen this.
Like I said,
several
if this had a bunch of environmental issues, then this would be a lot longer document and Eagle would get it. And that's where it gets more complicated to make these, and there's more information that you don't necessarily have in the Brownfield plan.
Okay. So with that report, or with that in mind, then would you like a motion to approve this? or-
Yes, please.
All right, I would like to entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Megan,
Second.
second.
Megan, and who seconded?
Shelley.
Shelley?
Okay.
Any discussion over the motion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, excuse me. All opposed? All right, motion carried.
Kurt, can you hang on for just a little bit longer?
Of course.
Okay.
So then we move down to staff reports. And the staff will update the Brownfield Authority on the status of current projects and any other information the commissioner should be aware of. So with that.
Okay, so I just wanted to give another little update on the Gateway project. We have a coordination meeting this Friday. Susan Wenzlick, one of Kirk's colleagues, is leading that part of it. I had a fairly long conversation with her earlier today. We had a meeting with Dan Leonard from MEDC late last week as well about the Gateway project. One of the things that they want to do is, they being the developer in Little River Holdings, that they want to get those buildings knocked down. They've gotten the bids for the demo. That work is being funded by the grant loan program. But the problem is they can't do that until we get the Brownfield plan done. So we've been brainstorming on how to, and that's gonna be more involved than, it can't just happen. There's a lot more discussion that has to happen on that, because the city's gonna be a partner in it, and there's a lot more stuff than at the Hampton Inn. So we're trying to balance getting that all done and making sure it gets the due attention that it needs with getting the buildings down and looking like there's progress. So there is a way to get those buildings demoed ahead of time. It would be what they call a local only TIF plan or Brownfield plan, and it would kind of be a sub-plan of the bigger plan. But basically, the state doesn't like to pre-approve those things, but the locals can. It's allowed in the statute. So what we're gonna discuss, and what Susan is discussing with Dan Leonard, is if MEDC would be okay with doing a bigger Brownfield plan that includes everything, but allowing the demo to happen now, and then that would be paid back through the TIF reimbursement. The loan pays for it, and then the loan gets paid back through tax increment finance that would be capturing only the local taxes. And this body can approve that after the fact. It can approve it retroactively. The state can also approve it retroactively, but they don't like to do that. So that's kind of the workaround to get the project going, but you still be able to get reimbursed like everybody wants to. So Kirk, I hate to put you on the spot because I know Susan is the lead on this, but did I miss anything there or mischaracterize that? Did you hear everything I just said?
I did, yeah. And the local only route is actually, we use that all the time. And just so everyone knows, I actually sit on Ottawa County's Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, so I'm in a position where I prepare the plans, and then I've also been on the side of approving them. So yeah, the local only is a great component. if you have enough investment, it allows the timing to be helpful for the developer. So no, you mentioned it appropriately. The only difference is it takes a little bit longer to reimburse the activities because you're not getting the school component, but it allows the development to happen at a timeline that could be needed for kind of their pro forma. So yeah, the only downfall to local only is that sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but that's really the only downfall to local only.
And that can be included in one overall brownfield plan with just a local only component, so it can all go to MEDC as a kind of a package, correct?
Correct, because what will happen in the brownfield plan, whoever prepares, there will be a section for Eagle eligible activities, MSF eligible activities, and local only activities. And you'll see in the payoff chart, I think it's table 2 of a normal brownfield plan, you know, local only will take their portion, and then the Eagle and MSF will take their portion separately. So it can all be in one plan, and that's actually recommended, because then you only have to go to city council once, versus approving 2 plans and having to go back. So you have one plan, but it can include the local component, the Eagle component, and the MSF component.
And so the reason I bring that up is because we're gonna be discussing that Friday, and I wanted to kind of get the temperature of this board to see if they would consider doing a retroactive approval of those costs. I mean, you might not see this brownfield plan for another 6 months at the rate we're going. But we do have third-party oversight through Fishback because they're managing the Eagle grant loan for that demolition. So we don't have to worry about, invoices coming in that aren't appropriate or anything like that because they're already going to be being monitored.
Great.
The only thing that this board would have to make an affirmative decision at some point is to reimburse those expenses retroactively. Actually, it's going to go to reimburse the loan payments, but that's kind of semantics. So I just was curious if there's like a consensus that that's a direction that we should even be pursuing or not, because we want to be able to talk about that on Friday at the kind of coordination meeting.
I would be. I haven't heard of an alternative use for it. Nobody's clamoring to use those buildings for anything. I mean, that's the general direction it's headed in anyway, correct?
It is. It's just a timing thing, and Tom St. Dennis is eager to get those buildings down, just so you can show some progress. And then, and the other thing is they can't do any of the grant-funded work, which is the soil and stuff underneath and some of those investigations until the buildings are down. So it's just kind of pushing everything back.
Yeah.
And so that's just the nature of it because it's a big complex brownfield plan. There's a lot of infrastructure, there's a lot of different components with that. But this little piece, if this board, the general consensus is that they're okay with approving that retroactively, then that's good news and I can let them know, and I think that will help to grease the skids on getting the project going.
It will take all the necessary precautions, because that's so close to the water runoff and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
That's all.
Yep, that's all being handled. Yep.
Okay, great. Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know over the years, a lot of plans have been looked at for several of those buildings. Didn't some of them have individual brownfield plans?
No,
So
they've
not at any point? Okay.
They had some assessments done on maybe some of them
Maybe
through one of
that's
the
what I'm thinking
EPA
of.
grants years ago, possibly. And I know there was some underground storage tanks that had been removed a long
Yeah, I
time
was
ago.
thinking of like the dry cleaning building and.
That probably had some assessments done on it, and I know there was tanks that were taken out by the old, where the detailing shop is, a long time ago. But they think there might possibly be some more tanks under House of Flavors, but they won't know until they get the building down from a previous use, so if I'm hearing it, it seems like the board is generally okay with proceeding down that path potentially, so that's, okay. So Kirk, is there anything else, from your perspective on these local only things that the board ought to be aware of, or?
No, the only other 2 things I wanted to make note is if you approve it at local only, it doesn't necessarily mean it all has to be local only, it's just allowing that mechanism. So if you approve it local only, you can still approach MSF and say, hey, we did this, do you want to contribute to it? And if they do, it cuts the payback, but if they don't, it allows everything to get reimbursed. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. The other thing that's really important with local only is because the state isn't reviewing the invoices, if you're an authority that doesn't have an oversight consultant, it can be tough because sometimes people can try to put things in that aren't eligible.
Right.
But you guys have us as Fishback as the qualified consultant reviewing things, which means that everything they do will have to pass our scrutiny first before it can get approved before we recommend for you guys to approve it, which means you guys have that safeguard in place so that things are done appropriately. Because if they're not done appropriately, we won't recommend them to be reimbursable for you.
Right, that's a big piece of this.
Yeah, that's a plus.
Okay, well, that's all I really had on staff reports. I think,
Okay.
like I said, I think Hampton Inn is moving ahead. I think after Friday, we'll have a good roadmap on getting those buildings down and keeping that process, and that'll give us some breathing room to work out all the details of the Brownfield plan, because there's a lot of complexity there. So I think that's a win-win-win all the way around by going that route.
All right, good to hear. You say you're finished then, Ed?
Yep.
Okay, next meeting dates is what we're looking at. Is that what you're looking at, March 7th?
I tentatively have Monday, March 7th penciled in. We normally would have it on a Monday, but it didn't work out this time. And that's kind of what we had done before, and I think that works better for KIP too, so that's tentatively what it is. I don't know if we'll have one or not, but I wanted to get it on the date for
right,
now.
right.
And,
Okay.
and the 6 PM worked better for KIP. That was the consensus at the meeting, I think that you weren't at, Megan.
Yeah.
Right, Monday, March 7th.
Monday, March.
Yeah, March
great.
7th at 6 o'clock.
And if we don't need that, I'll let everybody know.
Well, yeah,
I'm not sure if we'll have anything for Gateway yet, and if not, then we won't need the meeting, but
Right,
we
right.
might, so.
we'll just mark it in case. So other than that, we have members' discussion. This time Chair will ask the members of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority if they have any items they would like to discuss. We'll start with Megan.
Nope.
Nope. That sounds good. Shelley?
None for me.
Nothing. What do you got there?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, well, I got nothing. So in that case, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
There you go. And a motion, and we are adjourned.
Thank you very much.